Welcome back, listeners, to Podcast Demastered. I am Wade, and I'm here with Chelsea as always. And in this week's episode, we have finally reached the end of our ever-ongoing series on the Krakoan era of X-Men.
Yes.
And it has been a long time coming, wouldn't you say?
Yes, for sure.
We have
roller
been
coaster.
through, we have been through literally almost every single Krakoan issue.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically for Chelsea, how many issues did you have to read to finish this project, Chelsea?
Yeah, so for this part alone that we're discussing, it was roughly 65 issues.
Just for this episode?
Yes, just for this episode. Yeah, I still have to go back and count it all
the
in its
rest
entirety.
of them.
Yeah,
Okay,
because that's definitely
wow.
hundreds for sure.
Hundreds and hundreds.
Yes. And even though I read most of them, there are still a handful that I didn't read. This is no joke. This is a beefy X-Men era.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that we have reached the end. Well, maybe the good news. I'm still kind of sad and reeling from the end.
It's
of
mixed
Krakoa.
Feelings, yeah.
It is mixed feelings, and it's not Krakoa's fault. That's all real people problems.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have the wonderful current era of X-Men comics where at least three comics just got canceled, so it's fine. Everything's going well.
That's exactly what we can say about the X-Men right now, or mutants. Everything's going well.
Everything's great. Everything's great. It just happens to be dumpster fire shaped, but everything is great.
For real. Oh my gosh.
So where we left off last time, basically the Hellfire Gala had happened, and really just kind of made mutantdom shift gears, where they thought most of people were dead. Everybody else was kind of scattered. They couldn't even show up in broad daylight without getting chased and murdered or ran off or anything. But we've kind of reached the end where we start heading towards the light at the end of the tunnel. Something like that.
Yeah.
But they kind of have a plan, and they're kind of ready for some vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
Or some all-or-nothing momentum. How about that?
Exactly, yeah. They've been underground planning this revenge, essentially, and so a lot is going to happen very quickly.
Oh, yeah. Very quickly. So we will get to the overall end game of Krakoa, but before we get to that point, we're going to wrap up the kind of X-Force Wolverine storyline that has been going strong since Krakoa started.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to hear from Chelsea on the Sabretooth War, which is kind of the end of the X-Force Wolverine story.
Yeah. So there's a couple issues that lead into the Sabretooth War, but the Sabretooth War is, I think, too long. I think it was at least 10 issues, and there is just only so much I think people can digest of Wolverine super violence, but then adding just Sabretooth violence into the mix. It's just insane. Because at the end of Wolverine, because Wolverine is also one of the comics that makes it to issue 50, so X-Force, Wolverine, they were all going strong with 50 issues, and I think the writer at the very end talks about that he absolutely loved Wolverine, grew up with Wolverine, and just was so excited to make a Wolverine book, which makes sense because the issues leading up to the Sabretooth War, it's basically Wolverine's greatest hits. It's just him teaming. It's almost him teaming up with anybody and everybody he's ever had a connection with, or some very things alluded to in his past, and gets back dealing with Solemn and the Muramasa blade. But then it's okay, he's had his little buddy moments with, then it's the day where he's just trying to get by, enjoying life. This is still right after the Hellfire Gala. X-Force is in the middle of nowhere in, I think, the North Pole. And Sabretooth comes, because that's where we last saw that Sabretooth. And last we heard from Sabretooth, he was with all of his other versions of himself. So we have our whole Sabretooth army.
The Council of Sabretooths.
Yes. Which is great. We already had to deal with Beast and his clones. Now we have to deal with Sabretooth, which is worse.
Yeah, no,
worse in the violence level, but still both terrible. And so Sabretooth sends his alternate versions of himself to attack the base. They completely destroy many mutants that are there, including Wolverine's son, Akihiro.
Aww.
In a most grisly way, chopping up all of his body parts to spell out, like, happy birthday to Logan. Because the thing is, Wolverine and Sabretooth have been fighting for years, and that is Sabretooth's thing. That on Wolverine's birthday, he shows himself and tries to kill him. That's his birthday present to him every year. So this begins. The Sabretooth War starts on Wolverine's birthday.
Oh boy.
With the death of his son. And Wolverine is distraught by that. Because then Sabretooth also kidnaps Laura. So Laura is kidnapped. His son is dead. Wolverine is like, nope, I'm going after him. And X-Force is like, we can help you. And he's like, ha, I work alone.
This is personal.
Yeah. So there's lots of fighting. X-Force does get involved. There's lots of just very bloody violence. Page after page, growling. It's... And, it's also like with, Beast and his clones, when you have a bunch of Sabretooths together, or as they like to say in the issues, saber teeth.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. They don't get along. They're not meant to get along with each other, and they're always going to try to one-up each other. And so a lot of the other ones start talking to each other and are like, why are we listening to this Sabretooth? Like, why can't we listen to somebody else? And let's try to take him out. So there's a bunch of infighting with that. Then you still have X-Force and Wolverine killing all the other versions of Sabretooth. Then the Sabreteeth that are against the main Sabretooth are like, actually the best way we can take out the Sabretooth and rule on our own is if we bring his son back from a different universe who can take him down. And you're like, oh, like, that's such a smart idea, guys. Like, because, the son hates you
great.
too.
You're doing great.
So then they bring him back. There's a whole battle. Everybody fights and all the Sabreteeth die. And then there's the final showdown with our main Sabretooth and Wolverine completely mutilates him. The end.
Yay!
Yeah.
We did it! Congrats, everybody. Wow. That is totally on par for everybody involved in that situation. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, by the way, Laura is still alive. She gets saved. She's fine. But Akihiro is dead, and Wolverine is just like, my son's dead. I will hate life forever.
That makes sense, I guess. I haven't seen him.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I guess real quickly that I forgot. There was a part at the end of Wolverine where Sabretooth almost defeats Wolverine because he depowers Wolverine. Because he steals the weapon from Forge's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know how I completely forgot that because this whole story is just a mess. But yeah, they break into his lab on Krakoa. So they're basically the whole entire fight at the end takes place on Krakoa while there's sentinels around and everything. Because why not? Let's up the intensity. But no, so then Wolverine gets into an adamantium suit in a vault somewhere far away that Forge made him to fight Sabretooth. And you're like, oh, because he's adamantium, it's gonna work. And then it's plot twist. It was also reactivating his X gene at the same time.
Wow,
so now
what a crazy
he's back.
Plot twist.
Yeah. So that's why it was irrelevant because he becomes depowered, but then he gets his power up again in a suit of adamantium. Yeah.
Wow, that's poetic.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely poetic.
Yes. So those are those details out of order.
Okay, all right. Well,
anyway,
congrats on the ending there. You did it. Okay.
Yes.
Well,
we'll move on to some other kooky.
Yeah, right. So we were talking beforehand, and we realized that last episode we forgot to mention the shenanigans of two other people.
Yes.
Which it plays a part into what's happening here at the end, so it makes sense. But whoops, we did forget about Sebastian Shaw and Selene. And basically, they're just kind of they've been in cahoots since Selene was put on the Quiet Council, before all this started. But now, they're kind of, done, and they're calling in favors, and they're kind of ending things. Where basically, Sebastian, he sold out Krakoa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Working for Orchis. He sold him out. Selene goes with him because, she's petty. She's whatever. So she's like, oh, you got the money? I'll come with you. We're good. We're friends now. So Sebastian is like, okay, well, there's kind of like this big island, Krakoa, with all of these wonderful, beautiful natural resources. So I'm just gonna like mine the hell out of it, and I'm gonna sell it, and it's gonna be great, and I'm gonna be bajillionaire. And Selena's like, yeah, that's fine, but like, you're gonna help me bring back the externals. And he's like, probably. How much do they cost? And she's like, dude, shut up. So they're kind of just doing silly things, and they're like sending teams to Krakoa to kind of set up points where they can begin like taking stuff. But lo and behold, Xavier is still on Krakoa because he refuses to leave with Rogue. And he's just a mess. I mean, he's just kind of wandering the island. And he's got this big old scraggly beard now because it's been X amount of weeks. It's fine, whatever. Basically, any like Black Ops people kind of show up to kind of like take over the island. And Xavier's like, nope, brain pop.
Yeah.
He's like murdering people left and right. He's like, I don't even care anymore. But Sebastian's also like, why are my people dying? Because he doesn't, they don't come back.
He's like, nobody is there. I don't understand.
So he shows up. He shows up on his own. He's got like a suit, like an Iron Man something suit that he bought whenever that was, apparently. And so he finds Xavier, and Xavier's like, if you don't think I won't brain pop you too. And Sebastian's like, I'll fight you a little bit. It turns out terrible for both of them. Sebastian's like, fine, I'll leave. But like, shaking his fist at the sky, watch yourself, Charles, because I'll be back. Yeah. And Charles is kind of like, okay, whatever.
Well, and I think Selene's around during this time, and she's kind of like, wow, Xavier is hardcore. He's she's like, going too far.
Yeah, he's like, he's almost attractive. This is crazy. What's happening? I love this. Do it again, Sebastian. Let him kill you this time.
They're like, okay, yeah, I guess that's weird. Let's not worry about that. Let's do our own thing.
We'll just stare at the island menacingly while he works out his frustration. It's fine. We have more henchmen to send in. It's okay.
Exactly. Well, because the other thing with Shaw is that like he actually is depowered at this point, because to prove his loyalty to Orchis, he had to shoot himself up to become depowered, all part of his long game.
He's like, look how loyal I am. I'm not even a mutant anymore. And Selena's like, touch me with that and I'll kill you 18 different ways. Yeah.
Well, because, Shaw's also like, I don't need my mutant abilities. My mutant abilities is my wealth and my way to handle it. Yeah. And you're like, okay, dude, okay.
Calm down. All right. So they're kind of doing bad guy things, and Charles is just out of his damn mind. But is he? You find out, actually, he is actually still sinisterized. Dun, dun, dun. But, like, in a good way, it's fine. He has found a way to kind of, like... Yeah, right? He's found a way to kind of, like, sequester, like, the sinister side of him, like, to a portion of his mind where they can kind of... Yeah, they can, like, coexist, because, like, that sinister side of his mind is actually sinister. It's not just, like, what if Charles was bad? It's, like, actual sinister. So they have this weird, like, buddy cop situation where they're just kind of going around the island. And then, like, when Charles meets people, like, when the bad people, Sinister's like, I'll just kill them. It's fine. Like, you don't do it. I'll do it. Then you can continue to feel bad about yourself. It's fine. But anyway, Charles is like, okay, well, you have a plan and I have a plan. So let's get together and see what happens. They go and they basically find, like, Sinister's old lab. Which they have to get there, like, manually because all the portals are broken or whatever. So he leaves Krakoa to go to Sinister's island on whatever island it is. I can't remember. Yeah. Sinister's like, okay, great. Now the work can begin. Dun, dun, dun. Because we know how to solve all of these problems. So that's kind of enough of that for now. But that is something that's happening.
Exactly. And we will get back to that pretty shortly.
Oh, yeah.
But the next thing we can move on to. So... this is a comic we have not talked about the entire time we've been discussing Krakoa. I honestly didn't know this was part of the X-Men comics until our last episode, and then I realized there were way too many of them to catch up on. There's like over 150. It's called the X-Men Unlimited Infinity comic, which is essentially when a character was not really playing a part in any of the main issues, they're like, oh, let's include them in this like little side story. And these comics are also interesting because I read these all on the app, and normally you can like flip like left to right to go between panels, but this one like scrolls up and down.
That's how all the Infinity comics are. You just it's just like one gigantic image that you just kind of like swipe through and just go down the page. And I love the transitions. You know, because it's so funny, and they can do a lot more things because they know you're gonna have to go like up, so they can like do fun little things with animation. Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, no. So they're kind of like a fun little thing, and they can be a pretty quick read too. So it really wouldn't take you that long to get through them all. But they deal with various characters. I think previous to what we're going to talk about, there's some stuff with like Firestar and Orchis. But like this comic has been around since the very beginning of Krakoa. But this part we're going to talk about very briefly because that is specifically related to Selene. So there's a group which I was excited to see because basically after all this stuff in Otherworld, we never see Betsy again. We never see her Captain Britain. But she does come back for this.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And it's kind of this ragtag team, which is like mainly headed by Roberto. Because we also haven't seen him in a bit after everything with Araco when he was just making it big there and dealing with their council. Well, he's back on Earth. He is in charge of X-Corp now, and or whatever thing subset he claims to be in charge of, and he's basically created this island, and he has this team, and some people are going around Earth trying to save some of the younger mutants that are being captured that are still on Earth from Orchis and other organizations, and trying to give them a better life right now. But then all these kids have been going missing, and they think it's Orchis. Well, it's not Orchis. It's Selene.
Oh, Selene. Why you gotta do that?
Yes. So Selene is taking all the children, taking all these mutants, and that also gets the attention of Betsy because England is still like, we hate mutants, we hate everybody, we hate Betsy because she's a woman. We don't like this. We don't have a Captain Britain, get out of here. And she's like, okay, it's fine. It's time to leave. I'm going to go do something else. And Roberto is like, hey, let's, I think you can work with us. We got this. And she's like, sure.
Why not?
Sounds great.
I don't have another book to be in right now. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we have our X-Corp team who finds out about Selene, and Selene is collecting all these because she, along with the externals, who are all there now, they are all working together to ascend to that higher power because, they are above everybody else. They are different than all the humans of Earth. They deserve to reach their highest potential of abilities, and the way for them to ascend to that higher power is, according to Selene, get me a bunch of mutants. I'm hungry. I'm ready to feast and, use my abilities. And so it's just, we have our X-Corp team fighting the externals, and our team of mutants is kind of like, why are you guys listening to Selene? Are you sure you want to, how do you know she's actually helping you? And they're like, it doesn't matter. You guys are beneath us anyway. We'll fight you. So it's just a fight between all that. It's a struggle. Selene almost gets to that point of just sucking up all these mutants and getting the abilities. But of course, our X-Corp team stops them at the last second. And the externals are like, what are you going to do to us? You can't kill us. We'll always come back. We'll always be there. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. We're not going to kill you. We're just going to trap you guys forever in your own world. Basically the same thing that we saw done to the children, right? Where they put them as children of the vault, the stasis thing. Yeah. That's what they put them all in. On their little floating island ship thing or whatever Roberto has. And they're like, that's the way to keep everybody safe right now, is to put them in this type of stasis. We're not killing them. They can't escape right now. Things are good.
It's fine. We know where you're at if we need you.
Yes. We're like, nothing will ever go wrong. Nobody ever escapes something like that.
They're 0 for 25 on that, but okay.
Yeah. So that's what happens to Selene and her crew.
Ah, well, end of story for Miss Selene for now.
Yes, for now.
Okay, well, moving on to that, we have, man, it's kind of the end of a story, but it's just a continuation of other things.
Mm-hmm.
The book, The Resurrection of Magneto, like The Trial of Magneto, is only kind of about Magneto.
And only kind of about what the title says.
So basically, Storm, on Arakko, by the way, she's like the only mutant who has not died in this whole Krakoan era. She has not died. She has not had to be resurrected.
No.
She is kind of like, well, like, we need Magneto. Like, he's reaching out to me, like, in my dreams or whatever. So obviously I need to go help him. So is it Forge she meets up with? And she's like, dog, get me to, like, whatever ethereal plane that we need to go to save him.
I can't remember the guy's name. It's somebody we haven't seen before.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I was like, huh? What?
Yeah.
So basically, they're like, walk through this portal though, and like you're basically dead. So I hope you like succeed.
Hope you can figure that out. Yeah.
You're not gonna come back. And she's like, I've had worse. So she goes through and she finds Magneto, but basically he's already like working through like past trauma in order to come back. It's kind of weird and very just like. Just out of nowhere. It's not just like, well, I'm just going to take you back. No, he's got to like process all the trauma and go back through his life and figure out like who he really is. It's one of those kinds of things.
Yep.
But then like the issue is that Storm also has to kind of do that because she put herself in this situation. If she also wants to come back. So you get a lot of self-reflection in this whole book, and it just kind of goes back and forth. And Storm was like, oh, I'm done. Like, I did it. That was great. And Magneto's like, congratulations. Your life has been so easy or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's like, but
this is about me.
Yeah, this is about me. Like, okay, Magneto. So basically, in the end, like, they both come back, and Magneto's kind of like, I've worn so many different colors of helmet. Don't you see them? I have them all right here.
But who am I?
But I've never been wrong, per se. So maybe I am all of these Magnetos. Maybe they've always been me, and I've always been right, and everybody can suck it, because I'm alive now. And yes, I will save you all. But what are we going to do? We're going to go over with Tony and Iron Man. Like, we're going to go over there. We're not going to worry about the actual war being fought. It's fine. I'll see you in a bit. And Storm is just like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll stay up on Arakko.
Yeah. No, it was so strange. The only other tidbit that I thought was a little interesting and does kind of hint at something that we'll be discussing shortly is that when Storm first enters this, like, afterlife and between, she does enter the waiting room. I believe that's what's called, which was the room that was created all by Wanda and everything. And it's empty. Except for one person, and that person is Tarn. So she's like, of course, they have to like battle it out or whatever. But Storm's calls it like, this is weird. Why is it so quiet in here? There's
it's
nothing.
The waiting room. Like every single mutant who's ever died really should be in here, essentially.
Yeah. She's like, well, I guess that's not my problem. So we're like, okay, that was interesting.
Right.
But we'll get back to that.
Yeah, surely it's fine. Surely it's fine.
Surely. But yes, back to Magneto, who will be, I will save you, Iron Man. We can move on to Iron Man and his quest to take down Feilong.
And it's so funny, at the end, these last handful of issues, like when Emma's like, yeah, war's on, dude, so you do your thing, I'll do my thing, but please, like, let me know if I need to come save you. And Tony's like, okay, thanks.
Yeah. But he does reach out to her, which we'll get to, and she's like, I'm busy, sorry, hon.
Yeah, for real. So basically, he's like, they've made like an armada of ships in space. Like, he sent Riri into space to do this, where she met up with Forge, and he's like, nah, dude, like, don't worry, I'm already on it. We can, like, you've got some Mysterium, like, we can do this easy peasy. So, essentially, what the plan is that Tony's going on Earth, he's going to take all of his very limited resources, and he's going to attack, like Australia? Like, they're going somewhere super far away from, like, the US, so that Orchis kind of follows him there.
Because he goes, hey, guess what? This is where the mutants are coming.
Dun,
Come
dun,
and get us.
Yeah. So Feilong shows up with all of his Iron Man Sentinels, and Tony's like, oh my god, have you seen my new Iron Man Megazord? Because it's kind of cool. And Feilong is kind of like, that's neat. I didn't think about that first. So
but he does have his own, though. They do kind of have a mech fight.
They do. They have this big freaking mech fight. It's very Pacific Rim. And they're just kind of like smacking each other around. And there's the little baby Sentinels, which are not little. It's just that these two mechs are so freaking big. They're flying around and they're like pecking at Tony while Feilong's trying to smack at him. And, well, surprise, it was a trap. And Feilong's like, you know what? I don't really care. I get to kill you now.
Yeah.
Let's just both enjoy the moment. How about that? And Tony's like, okay. Like, cool.
He's like, you fell for my trap. Yes, you're still here.
Like, yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Well, and all the rest of Orchis is also like yelling at Feilong. They're like, we need you, dude. Don't you realize what's happening? There are other things going on. He's like, sorry, comms off. Like,
yeah. No, I'm having a good day. Have you seen these mechs? We're fighting. Like, we're doing this. So basically, like, that's it. They're fighting and whatever, and things kind of go downhill. Like, Tony's mech kind of gets, like, torn apart by, like, the Sentinels flying around. So Feilong is kind of, like, taking advantage of that. But then, like, they both kind of, like, crash and burn at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So they both have these two, like, dead mechs. So they basically, like, meet in the middle. And they're just, like, slap fighting it out. Mm-hmm. Before Feilong is like, I actually have a plan. And then Tony's like, oh, shit. And then Magneto shows up and he's like, I got you, Tony. Don't worry. So they kind of like turn the mech back on because Magneto.
Yes. And then he's like, Mysterium. I love this stuff.
He's like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, we're like, okay, Magneto.
Yeah,
calm yourself.
Calm down.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it. Like, Tony beats Feilong. Like, he doesn't kill him because we can't have that.
No.
Naturally. But Tony does win the measuring contest. But yeah, he reaches out to Emma. He's like, oh god, I'm gonna die. And she's like, bruh, I'm fighting a war. Yeah. I need you to, like, handle yourself down there, please.
Yeah. Which is so crazy because we've also seen with them too is that, like, you know, this was a marriage of convenience, but we've seen them actually, like, grow in their relationship to, like, actually like each other more than that. And then so we get to this point of, okay, we have to go fight our war, but, like, our separate sides. And she's like, you know, I've got you. And then it's, no, never mind. In the moment, it's, I have other things to worry about. You're like
Tony's
Emma.
Like, wow, my toy is broken. And Emma's like, my people are dying.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, you do your thing.
Yeah.
But we should wait. We should wait on the actual ending of Iron Man.
Yes.
That might spoil some things. But basically, in the second to last issue, Tony beats Feilong and can go about his business, more or less, until the Orchis fight is fully over. But for now, he's just kind of stranded in Australia. He's just chilling with Magneto. Because surely Magneto has no place better to be right now.
Oh, and the other quick thing is about, because since Riri helped Tony, the other thing is we get to see a little bit more with Riri, which quickly finishes up this little storyline that was introduced, which might have been introduced before, was that she had the Mandarin rings. And basically there's like a dragon or something that comes and like, you need to get rid of these. And Forge is like, yeah, I told you. Those are like messing with you.
Yeah, like literally every person has told you to get rid of those, Riri. And she's like, okay, I probably should.
So they shoot him off into the universe.
It's like the Dragon Balls. They just kind of scatter.
Yeah. And she's like, I kind of regret it, but at the same time, it was for the best.
It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. But no more with her.
Just like, dude.
Yeah. He's like, I told you so. I'm glad.
Like, it could have been galactic destruction, but no, thank you, Riri, for putting your personal feelings aside.
Yes, thank you, because we have more of Orchis to deal with right now.
And speaking of Orchis.
Oh my god.
Oh, yes. So, and it's... How this comes to be is that there are so many moving parts at the beginning of this. Like, so Scott, right? Scott Summers, Mr. Cyclops, he's being held captive by Orchis, and he's, not having a good time. His freaking eyeballs are sewn shut, okay? It's a bad time. He's got, like, explosives, like, shoved into his spine. Like, it's a bad day. All days for him. But basically, they come and the Sinister clone, Dr. Stasis, is kind of like, you know what? We got a court date for you. Kiss your butt goodbye, because you're kind of done. And Scott's like, yeah, that's legit. Like, they're going to, like, Paris
Yes.
For a quote-unquote completely normal and non-biased court session. But basically, they're just going to steamroll him into, like, admitting that all mutants are terrorists and deserve to be put down. Like, Orchis has already paid off the judges, they've paid off the witnesses, they've paid off the jury. Scott's walking into a building to be exterminated, like, you know. But the X-Men show up, and they save him.
But then they don't. Because Rasputin gets called away. And you're like, what?
Yes, so super amazing Rasputin from the future. She's all like, we're gonna save Krakoa because she wants to, like, go to Krakoa. But no, she gets pulled away. Was it Charles who takes her?
Yes.
Like,
because she's like, I'm a little busy, and he's like, no, my thing is way more important.
I promise you're not that busy.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, and then everybody else is like,
where'd she go? What the hell?
Like, no, we can't save him now. And Cyclops is kind of like, okay.
Life is going to happen regardless. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah. But at the trial, too, they're like, come on, we need you to say something, Scott. And Scott's like, no, come on, just hurry up with the sentencing.
Yeah,
let's get this done.
Let's just do this. Like, he's just sitting in his chair like a good boy, just like, whatever, man.
Yeah. And you're like, what the heck is going on? And he's like, come on. Everybody's like, wait, why are you being so easy about this? He's like, it's fine. Just finish up this sham trial. Let's get this going. So then they take him back and woohoo. And our X-Men are kind of like, okay, well, I guess we have to leave Scott by himself. Good luck, Scott. We have 50 other things to deal with.
Because at this point, like, because of this, like, botched mission, in a sense, like, the war with Orchis is on. That was kind of their moment to surprise attack, to kick things off in their own way. But they kind of messed up because Rasputin wasn't where she was supposed to be. So it's like, well, crap, we got to do it now. We got to, like, we're all out here in the open. We got to start fighting. Which is fine for Orchis, because now they can be like, oh my god, like, look at the mutant terrorists. They're trying to, like, stop justice from happening.
Yeah. And then eventually with this whole on fight with, like, our mutants and Orchis, is that Orchis, like, fully reveals their true colors to the world.
They really do.
Yeah, and everybody's kind of like, oh, that's interesting. And you know, our mutants are like, duh. We've been saying all along, but nobody's been listening. But it's too late, guys. So
like, they already have so much, like, power and stuff. It's kind of like, we don't really care if people don't like us anymore. Yeah. Like, we can't really be stopped because we'll just put it into you all and we'll move on to the humans. It's fine. It's great.
But the thing, too, before this, like, whole fight could really start with Orchis was that at the same time they were trying to hopefully free Scott, they had to deal with one of their biggest issues, was the big threat looming over all of humanity was because of the Krakoan drugs. Was that when Orchis had messed with them and put basically that kill switch in, our mutants were like, well, we can't fully fight Orchis until we turn that kill switch off so we don't have all this extra, like, blood on our hands because these people don't deserve it. So we see this whole crazy plan implemented because we get a lot of with Sync and with Talon. That was like, that's our other Laura. And they infiltrate, what is his name? Where they steal his ball. What is that guy's called?
Oh my gosh, I'm blanking too.
Oh my gosh, what is his name?
The High Evolutionary. The High Evolutionary.
Yes. Yeah. They go to the High Evolutionary and steal his, like, ball thing because they're like, it was something that was originally going to be a biological weapon to wipe out something on Earth, but they're like, hey, I bet we can, like, use that, but we can, like, flip a switch on it and make it, you know, null the effects that Orchis put into place. And the High Evolutionary is kind of like, oh, you thought you could get away from me. You know, I let you escape me once, Sync, but not again. You must pay with your life. And they fight, and he survives. Talon does not.
Talon meets her end. Yes, she does.
And Sync, because they've had this hundreds of years romance, like, and he hasn't died. His abilities have stayed with him, like, and he has that such strong, like, connection with Jean's abilities, like, he keeps her in his mind for a bit, and, like, because he can't let her go, which also, like, causes his body issues of, like, shutting down in a sense. And she's kind of like, oh wait, I'm dead, why are you keeping me here? You need to let me go.
And that's so like, sad, like,
yeah,
because, like, I watch you die, and I kind of, like, accidentally, he, like, pulls her consciousness into his.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she realizes, she's like, dude, if I'm dead, you have to let me go. And he's like, I can't do it. But then he like tells everybody that he does it, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
So
and
she's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, people die and you have to move on. And he's just like, but the issue is now it's like, he would just be watching her die, but now he like has to kill her himself, basically. And it's just like, oh, you did this to yourself, sir. Like, yikes.
Yeah. So yeah, we see a lot with that, and then he eventually does have to let her go. And he has to move on, and because he's our kind of leader, too, of our underground X-Men right now, but he doesn't have his partner in crime with him. So he's learning to deal with that, and everybody realizes, too, that, that secret that was kind of kept a ways back was that anytime he reaches for mutants that aren't near him, like those abilities, they like rapidly age him, and that he is slowly dying. So they're like, okay, dude, you can't die on us now, but we really need your help. And he's like, it's fine. We don't talk about our feelings right now. We'll just gotta get this done. We're like, okay.
Yeah.
We're like, Sync, gosh, dude.
He's going through a bad time at a time where he needs to be everything for everybody. He gets there. There.
And we're like, okay, well, at least the thing did work, though, in the end. The high evolutionary thing did work. Like, yes, it came at a terrible cost.
Yeah, but humanity is saved, and Orchis is kind of like... It was like the one card that they kind of had, like, mess with us and we'll just kill humanity. But they got rid of it, so Orchis is not pleased.
No.
That they figured that out.
Exactly. And you're like, okay, got that big thing out of the way. We're just going to go on a full-on attack. And it's like, okay, you have a lot of mutants attacking. Like, these odds are not great for Orchis. Oh, darn. That's seemingly right now.
Yeah.
Or at least for the human aspect. Because don't forget, Orchis is also made up of some AI.
Dun, dun,
Our
dun.
big ones, yes.
Oh, yeah.
But the X-Men decide to take out the big people one by one. So we see Stasis finally potentially meet an end.
Yes.
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 Yes. They also fight with like MODOK and some of the other big ones we've seen. Oh gosh.
Yes. So basically, like, the non-AI people in Orchis, like, they kind of take out, like, the bosses of them. But, like, Nimrod and Omega Weapon, they're just kind of like, thanks for doing our work for us, because we're going to kill them. And Mutantdom's like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so we get rid of you now, right? And Nimrod's like, no, that's not going to happen.
Nice try. Because the thing that kind of leads to that, too, is that we have... Because Cyclops is still...
tied up.
In the clutches, with Orchis, and that we have Dr... Oh, what is her name? We've seen her since the very beginning of the Krakoan Age. Yes, Reyes. And she's the one whose husband died a while back, and she blamed the mutants, and then she worked with Orchis to bring her husband kind of back in Nimrod, but then Nimrod's, like... computer
he's
brain
like,
took over.
I'm not really your husband, dude.
Yeah, so she's been kind of dealing with that, but then she realizes, wait, there's something sketchy with the AI here, and so she goes to Scott and is like, hey, can we work together? Like, I promise I'm gonna be on your team. Like, I messed up majorly. Like, I'm gonna get you out of here and everything. And he's like, that's cool, I'm good with this. I've been here lying in wait, like, ready to make my move. And then she goes, wait a minute, you could have escaped any time. And he's like, yeah, who do you think I am? Like, I'm Cyclops, man. Like, what? Yeah, of course. I have 5,000 plans in my mind. And she's like, oh, well, neat. I guess respect, Okay.
Yeah, like, all right, well, okay. So you get me out of here and you don't kill me? And he's like, basically, yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, I guess I can live with that odds, trying to do good in the end. And he's like, okay, cool, I'm with you on that. And so they're like, okay, let's go try to find Nimrod. And everybody else is like, oh, the AI, ooh, there's some plan, what's happening? And then let's get back to them. We have to establish what else has been going on.
Yes, because... so that's like, well, if you include Tony, that's like 2/3 of what's happening.
Yes.
Although Tony and Feilong are just literally... They're just over here smacking each other.
Yeah.
There is another major part of what's happening, and that has to do with what Xavier's doing. So we last saw Xavier, like, go into Sinister's lab. Well, now he has this, like, Krakoan ship like a spaceship, but it can fly between like realities.
Yeah. It's in that
weird.
no place that was the place they originally created for Moira when she was
Yes.
living in Krakoa. So like it's the thing that's hidden in between space and time.
It can't really be
for reasons.
tracked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It can't really be tracked except by one thing, which we'll get to soon.
Yes.
But so basically Xavier's got a team, and that team is, well, one, they went and they took Rasputin, right? They kidnapped her from not messing up.
Yeah.
But then also like Doug is there.
Yeah.
And you're like, Doug, you were literally like inside Krakoa, and while Krakoa is like running around the planet, like what are you doing? So he's with Doug, and then also and Rachel.
You're like, this is an interesting team.
Yeah, and Rachel, so they're there with the X-Men that had just been anointed as X-Men during the last Hellfire Gala, and then they all got brutally murdered by Nimrod. That whole team is alive with them.
Well, but they're not physically there, so.
They're not physically there.
Yeah.
They've been going on, like, their own mission, which is, it's weird. It's a book called Dead X-Men, which is, funny because they're the dead X-Men.
Yeah.
Rachel just kind of started tossing them into timelines, and they're trying to find, like...
Moira before her mutant ability activates.
Yes.
Or, like, basically when she has a human mind, specifically.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they actually, they go to a timeline where they find, like, this older, like, partly robotic Moira, so closer to the kind of Moira that we have right now, but she's still,
like,
kind of human, but she's freaking crazy. She's murdered, like, 4 or 5 of these huge, powerful people, and has, like, their weapons and their abilities and, like, technology and stuff. And she's like, you all are not from my timeline. Can I follow you? And they're like, dude, no. What? Like, you're freaking crazy. So what happens? No, they run away. She goes after them. She gets some technology to chase after them.
Because the thing is that when Rachel has been sending them through these different timelines and stuff, is that our X-Men team can affect this future. And so by being there, they caused this ripple that caused this crazy Moira to also obtain what she needed to time travel herself, or whatever
it's real weird. It's
whatever
real
travel
weird.
you want to use for this.
Yeah.
And so, she goes off, and you're like, oh, great, thanks so much. We already had one crazy Moira. Let's add more to the mix.
So they kind of keep going on their quest to find, like, little baby Moira, and crazy Moira goes off on her own quest to do whatever she's trying to do, and they kind of meet back up, like, after all is said and done. And the X-Men team is like, oh, did we do this? Like, because you're that one crazy lady. And Moira's like, yep, I'm that one crazy lady. And thank you for allowing me to have a chance to do this. Because now I'm going to kill all the mutants in every reality.
Yeah. And so you have that going on. But also, like, Rachel's supposed to be following Xavier's, like...
master plan.
Yes. But then you have this, like, weird interaction with Xavier and Doug. And you're like, what is up with Doug? Well, it's revealed it is not Doug. It is actually Sinister.
Yes.
In the body of Doug, but not our actual Doug.
They made like a Doug clone, and then so Xavier could kind of like push that little bitty bit of Sinister out into the Doug body. So everybody thinks it's Doug. But Xavier knows it's Sinister. So then Doug is like flying the little spaceship through like not time and space.
Yeah.
While Rachel is kind of like leading the team from the ship. And Xavier is just freaking, he's being crazy.
Yes.
Oh, and they have Mother Righteous.
Yes. That is correct. Yes.
They've like kidnapped the actual Mother Righteous. Not the one that was in the White Hot Room, because that was like a mutant... like clone kind of herself, like a homunculus.
Yes.
But they're using actual Mother Righteous to communicate with all of those mutants in the White Hot Room. Because they're like, don't worry, like, we'll get you out, we'll do what we need to do, whatever it is. So Mother Righteous is being decent, she is communicating. She's also like, let me out of here or I'll kill everybody. And they're like, you're in this little bubble, you ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Like, you do what we tell you to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're alive for now. And then because of that connection and with the White Hot Room, it's also further explained that Rachel's X-Men team is in the White Hot Room. That's where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like doing this crazy communication thing. They're making Rachel do all the work. And Xavier's like, yes, keep doing my plan. It's fine. And then you have Rasputin going, this is kind of a weird plan. Because the reason why they're in this kind of bubble thing moving around is because the whole big enemy in the background, the one that is revealed because we had all of our Sinisters trying to reach Dominionhood, and they were all knocked down from that and going, oh wait, there is one true Sinister. It's revealed to be this like AI Sinister that is the one to reach Dominionhood, and they have a name. Enigma. Oh my god. Oh, the Riddler would be so proud. So yeah. Enigma is the thing that's outside of space and time haunting them, but that is also where Xavier's team is as well, kind of in that in-between space.
So Enigma is kind of like chasing after them?
Because he realizes they're the big threat, and that he's like, no, I can't have this unknown thing that I think is trying to kill me, because we can't have that. And Xavier's like, you can try all you want. Good luck with that. And then back to Rasputin being like, I don't really get this plan. This plan is very weird.
Rasputin speaks for all of us.
Yes.
Well, like, doesn't he, like, explain the plan? He's like,
yeah,
okay, you caught me. Like, you think I'm doing this, but what I'm actually doing is that we're flying through multiple realities to pinpoint where, like, Moira first got her powers, like, when that activated for the first time. We're hopping back, like, 10 minutes. And I'm going to shoot a child in the face.
Yeah, so then we could just, get out of this. Restart it all. And
Rachel and Rasputin are like, you're doing what with what? What? And he's like, I've got a gun. And they're like, what? You got what? And he's like, dude, okay, Rachel, is your team done? They're done? Okay, and like shoots her, like, you're done.
Well, right before Rachel goes, wait, there's another way we can do this. We can, why don't we get the Phoenix? And he's like, ha, dead.
No, we're not doing that.
I'm like, okay, so yeah, Rasputin and Rachel die.
Yep. So it's just him and Sinister and
Mother Righteous.
Mother Righteous.
Like, oh gosh. And it only escalates further from that. So while we're dealing, like, we're like, okay, well, we just lost, like, our cool mutants, and then our mutants show up in the White Hot Room, and Rachel and Rasputin are like, oh, great, Xavier sent us here. Did he send us here for a reason? I hope it's for what we think it is, but we're gonna enact our own plan. Hopefully the plan of Xavier. Like, Xavier just goes, whoo. Like, you're like, whose plan is he on? Is this all his plan? We don't really know, because guess who Xavier decides to contact? Freaking Orchis. Because at this point, actually not just Orchis in general, because now this is the point where it's revealed that, like, Nimrod, our Moira, and Omega Sentinel are all the ones who have a plan, that the AI is in charge, screw all the humans, like, we're gonna rule the world. And so Xavier reaches out to them, it's like, hey, can I help you guys? And reading this, you're just like, what in the world is happening? And they're like, well, what's the catch? Like, you want to help us, Xavier? And he's like, yeah, just don't hurt my mutants. And, like, I'll do whatever you want. Whatever you want. And they're like, you will do anything for us?
They're like, so you'll use your powers to, like, kill humanity?
And he's like, yeah.
He's like, yeah, I don't see why not. Totally within my realm of, abilities.
And they're like, sure, let's use him while we've got him, I guess. Okay.
Nimrod's
sure,
like, what the hell, man? Come on over.
Yeah, and you're just like, what the freaking heck, Xavier? And he's like, but Nimrod, I need your word. You are not going to hurt my mutants. And he's like, fine. Like, I guess, we'll not deal with them. But, kill these humans for us. Like, control them. Like, love this. And so you have that going on. And then you see our X-Men team, who's been fighting Orchis, going, what the freaking heck? Why is Charles with them?
Because, of course, immediately Nimrod is like, hey, all you other mutants, guess who I got? And guess what he's going to do? So they're all like, what is going on? So they're like, well, now we have to stop Charles. So they send people to, like, go find Charles and be like, what are you doing, you crazy old man?
Yeah. And he's like, you can't touch me. I'm doing this for us. And everybody's like, okay, he is out of it. We need to destroy Orchis, because our group of robots, AI, essentially go, our plan has been it's so stupid. They created this, like, side little city thing, orb thing of computer abilities. I don't know. That's gonna rule the world. So they can also ascend to Dominionhood.
Yeah,
to
they're
become
kind
one
of doing
with
like
Enigma.
this what's his name? The other sinister clone in space, the guy who was in the little bubble. Orbisaurus.
Yeah.
They kind of do what he did, where they just kind of made like this like big collection of like computer AI that were constantly like feeding off each other and growing smarter exponentially. They were just kind of doing that. And Nimrod's like I will meet my own god soon, and then I will become my own god. And Omega Sentinel's like, okay.
Yeah,
like that
tracks. Yeah.
It's better than me being dead in my timeline, so that's fine.
Yep. So you have all this going on. Well, should we skip back to the White Hot Room?
We probably should.
Yes. Yeah. So we're back in the White Hot Room.
We've got like a dead Jean who, remember, her throat's been slit and she's like, or whatever, she's bleeding out all over the place. And Hope is just kind of like laughing and crying, going, I don't know what's going on. Because Mother Righteous is just like, don't ask me. And Destiny's like, I'm not helpful right now. When are you ever? But okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then what we do have in the White Hot Room is that they do have a way of bringing back mutants. And so we've seen them slowly bringing back mutants from the past, but also our mutants that have just died, as we said, like Rachel. And Rachel's like, okay, I have a plan, guys. And they're like, what's your plan? And she's like, we're gonna bring back the Phoenix. And everybody's like, yeah, I mean, I think we all want that, but how can you do it? Like, okay, sure. And she's like, because it's me. I can do this.
And they're all like, okay, show us. Go ahead. You do you.
And so she kind of helps, like, I don't know, uses her abilities, kind of help jumpstart it. But then she's like, well, I can't really deal with this right now. I have to go back to the real world. Because, like, she leaves, like, because doesn't she and our X-Men and as well as all the quote fighting X-Men
they decide to send all of the quote unquote useful mutants.
Yes.
The battle ready mutants back to Earth to like continue the fight because Emma's like screaming. She's like, things are going terribly out here because there's like 12 of us and fighting like a country's
Xavier.
Worth of people. Yeah. So they're like, oh, it's okay. We'll come too. We're dead, but you know, we're in like actual mutant heaven, but we could just teleport. It's fine.
Yeah.
So they do that.
Yeah, because we forgot to mention, because Manifold has been gone for a bit. Because that was a whole thing way back with Gambit and Rogue, and Destiny had said, you need to save Manifold, because he's the one who could communicate, like, go through, like, the White Hot Room as well as just across everything. And so Rogue goes to retrieve Manifold from wherever they hid him, and he's, of course, ticked off that, like, he'd been tricked and he's been gone so long, and then he's like, okay, but I kind of see where you're coming from, like, I've got this, but also don't do that again. And so he's the one who goes to the White Hot Room and gets all of our, quote, useful mutants, and then they all leave, and then every other mutant that's left with Hope is kind of like, you know, we're mutants too, thanks, I guess we're just trapped here, thanks a lot. Anyway, we'll come back to you. But now Hope has to deal with Jean / the Phoenix, and this becomes a big thing, realizing, well, Rachel didn't help that much. Like, we need something to fully restart.
Rachel was basically like, I have an idea in my head, and it has to do with Jean, but, like, we need Jean to come back, but to bring Jean back, you have to bring the Phoenix back, because the Phoenix is currently a no-go. But, like, that's kind of all I'm going to tell you, but Hope, I believe in you. You know what to do. And Hope is like, excuse me, who, what? And so they're like, bye, and Hope's just kind of like, oh my god, like, that wasn't helpful at all.
Yeah.
Like, we are telepathic. You could have put that idea in my brain before you left, but whatever.
Yeah. And then, like, well, Jean does kind of come back, so she can at least talk with Hope, it seems like. But the Phoenix part is the part that's, like, still in turmoil. But at least Jean is not blabbering on the same phrase.
Oh, for sure. She's not, like, caught in, like, her head like she was before.
Yeah. But still, it's not entirely helpful. It's Hope, it's all on you. And you're like, what? So, well, that's happening. And Hope is working with Jean to restart the Phoenix. Even though, like, they're kind of safe in the White Hot Room, let's go back to Enigma real quickly. Because Enigma is like, okay, well, I don't know what the mutants on Earth are doing. I don't know what Charles is doing. Like, I guess I'm fine from that.
Yeah, like, Enigma's whole thing is, like, because he is outside of space and time, he can do literally anything within the realms of space and time. So if his enemies exist on Earth, he's like, I can see everything you're doing at every single moment in time, spanning the entirety of time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care what you can do, because you can't do something without me seeing it, and therefore I can go back farther and stop that thing from happening. Except we get to the issue with Xavier and Sinister, who are traveling in no space, which is outside of space and time. He cannot see what they're doing until they, like, pop into the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But he also kind of knows that, like, whatever Xavier's planning has to do with the Phoenix, and he does not want the Phoenix back. It's the only thing that he's like, he cannot stop the Phoenix, he cannot do anything against the Phoenix. So Enigma is very much just like, I've got this 99.9% covered. Moira, you're a hateful bitch. You're gonna help me cover that last 0.1%. And she's just like, what's in it for me? And he's all like, I'll make you almost a god. How about that? And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
So they make a deal, and she's kind of like, I'll go and I'll stop whatever's from happening. Yeah. Because at this point, everything is running together so much. You're just kind of like, I'm just nodding and smiling to the end.
Yes, it's insane. Well, and then another side note with Enigma, it doesn't matter too much, but Enigma is like, I know there's other, like, Dominions out there, you know, everybody hates the Phoenix. I'm going to be like, hey guys, I think the Phoenix may come back. So if the Phoenix does come back, will you guys all join forces with me so we can destroy the Phoenix?
And they're like,
sure, I guess, you know, whatever for now, I suppose.
They're like, well, is the Phoenix coming here? Or is the Phoenix staying where the Phoenix belongs? And it's so funny because Enigma Dominion is like, oh my god, like, the Phoenix is gonna come and, like, take our jobs. And the Dominions are kind of like, no. Like, the Phoenix stays there. And Dominion's like, yeah, but, like, I'm over here messing with people, and she's gonna stop me. And they're like, so get out of it. Like, you are a Dominion. Get out of space and time. Like, stay in your own backyard.
But, yeah.
And so they're kind of, like, bullying Enigma.
Which is fine, like, that's fair.
They're like, if you weren't such a petty hoe, maybe you wouldn't care, and you could just be over here and chill and leave them to their reality, because we don't exist within reality, dude. There is a hard line that they can't cross if you stay on our side of the line.
Yeah. But then I think it's kind of revealed with this conversation with Moira that Enigma is technically tied almost directly to Moira, because he was, like, Enigma was only created during the lives of Moira or something. Yes. So
if
it's kind of
ever happens, there is no Enigma. If one exists, so does the other.
Yeah, and so that's why Enigma realizes he has to team up with Moira. Well, so trying to take care of that, but then being like, okay, let's go back to this whole Phoenix situation that's happening. So Hope and Jean continue to, like, try to figure this out, and it's like, Hope, you can do it. Well, Jean figures out something at the same time that Enigma does. They're like, wait a minute, I think it all has to do with Hope. And so Jean, like, goes through time, basically trying to stop Enigma, who keeps appearing, trying to destroy Jean's life, but then turns to Hope's life. And Jean, at that moment, realizes, oh, this is where it all begins and ends. So you have a moment where you see just first Enigma, who looks just like a Sinister, way back, well, basically right before Hope was born, and meets a woman at the bar, and this woman is the one that's revealed to be Hope's mom. And you're like, oh crap. When I first read this, I was like, no, don't tell me that Sinister was the father all along. I cannot handle that.
He's all like, I can do you two things. I can, like, give you a baby, or I could kill you. And the lady's just like, who are you?
Yeah, like, I'm just having a drink. What is happening here?
And then, like, Jean shows up and, like, and she's like, scares Enigma off.
Yeah. And this whole part's funny because Hope's mom is kind of like, you know, thanks for everything, but, like, I don't see something between us happening.
Yeah, she's, like, literally just sitting at the bar, and, like, the fate of the entire, like, multiverse is walking in the door, and she's just like, ew, dude. Like, what are you saying?
Yeah, but it's kind of that really tense moment because, yeah, like, you have Enigma being all sinister, like, being all trying to, like, be a smooth talker and this whole thing, but her just being like, ew, you're just major ick factor, and then Jean being like, okay, that's, like, my pitch now, like, the fate of the universe is in your hands, like, you do have, like, the Messiah. Child, this is not just the mutant Messiah that we've been talking about forever. This is the ultimate Messiah for all of humanity. And she takes it in such, like just
she's just like,
takes
okay,
it all in. She's like, okay, cool, like,
neat, fine.
Yeah. And so she's like, okay, well, you know, you need to have this baby. And then you kind of have Hope's mom going, being, slow down, woman. Like, we don't know each other, and I'm not into that type thing. And Jean's like, it doesn't matter the semantics like that. Just like, because then Jean realizes that the Phoenix Force needs to, like, the Holy Spirit essentially needs to go into this woman.
Amen.
To create hope. And Jean's like trying to explain the whole thing, and Hope's mom's like, don't make this weird. Just do it. Like, I already said yes. Like, it's fine.
The moral
like,
of the story is that Jean is Hope's daddy. So
yeah.
That's all you need to worry about. And so everybody immediately is like, oh my god, it's funny because it's like Phoenix, it's like Rebirth, where the Phoenix just dies and comes back. But like, the Phoenix also created the Phoenix. Like, whoa, this is galaxy brain-sized stuff. And you're sitting there just like, did I just read about Jean impregnating a woman with like life magic? Like, what happened? Yes, yes to all of that. So Enigma's kind of like, bah humbug to you all. Like, you can suck eggs. And so he leaves and Jean leaves. So it like kind of corrects itself.
Yeah. Because then we're back in the white hot room with Hope, like, also fully realizing the gravity of the situation.
Yeah.
And it's the whole completing the whole circle, and basically in that part sacrificing herself to become kind of one with the Phoenix, restart the Phoenix.
They've got to like make it, they have to like ignite the flame essentially of the Phoenix's life, where like the Phoenix is ready to come back, but they just need
Hope
a kick.
Can do that.
Yeah, so
Hope in general. Yeah.
Hope, it's really weird because Hope doesn't die. She doesn't like die or anything, but she becomes like one with the white hot room, kind of.
Yeah.
So
which
that
is one with the Phoenix type thing.
Yeah. So Jean is back in all of her blazing glory. Like, holy crap. And Hope is with her in the white hot room. It's really weird, and I'm sure it'll come back later with a better explanation. She's just kind of like sparklies around the white hot room. Yeah. And everybody's like, oh, look at Hope. Yeah. And Jean's just like, dude, hold on, I gotta go be cool.
Yeah. But actually, we can, a side note offshoot, just talking specifically about Hope, like, how was that for you? Like, this whole thing, like, with Hope and just like this combination becoming one with the Phoenix again.
I mean, very interesting for sure. Because everybody, like, throughout Krakoa, it's been like, well, Jean is the Phoenix. Well, Jean is the Phoenix, and the Phoenix is Jean. But Hope is the Phoenix. But where does Hope fit into this? And, like, Rachel somewhere in there, sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
But, like, it's weird, right? Yeah, and everybody, they're just, oh, yeah, we don't have an answer, so just drop it. But the first part is true. Jean is the Phoenix, and the Phoenix is Jean. Yes, for sure. But Hope is also the Phoenix. Because
Hope was created by Jean.
Yes, because Hope is Jean. It's weird, and I like Hope is not in anything right now in the comic books. I mean, for obvious reasons. But they'll bring her back eventually, you know, like she'll have like a body, I suppose, again at some point. And I look forward to seeing what happens after that point.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see, because I feel like they also need to do a little bit more explanation, I feel like, with Rachel then. Like, if we have kind of come full circle with Hope, it'll be interesting to see with Rachel, or is Rachel more of an extra special thing at the
Rachel's
moment?
like seems like an
because she
extra
wasn't
necessity.
Like, yeah, because I was like, I'm like, but Rachel is like the child of not just Jean, but also like, I thought with Scott from a different whole other thing, and she's a one special thing, but it's all with the Phoenix. But I think with Hope, it makes sense. It comes full circle for me because I've read the Messiah Complex. I've read it from the very beginning. I think it's also a very interesting story. So listeners, if you're interested in us ever covering that in the future and going through that whole thing, let us know. But it was always hinted at the very beginning too, because she was a Messiah. She was the first child since M-Day to have abilities, and the Phoenix Force was in her eyes. It was seen it many times. She looks so much like Jean, but also like her mom also looks like Jean too. So, but
those daddy traits got passed down.
Yeah, of course. And so it was kind of a weird explanation for it all, but it kind of fit. And, they really had to, they keep bringing up the white hot room, the Phoenix stuff. The Phoenix had to come back around, and we had to kind of fit everything together very quickly at the end. So let's throw this in that, yay, Phoenix is back. Phoenix, Jean, won. Let's go fight Enigma.
Yes. Yeah, so, like, Jean does head off to fulfill her destiny and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, on Earth, you still got the mutants trying to just tear Orchis down, and Orchis is
putting up a fight.
Yeah, they're having a comeback, but then this is where you see the other half of Tony's plan come into action, because he's over here distracting Feilong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Riri and Forge made all of the ships. Well, the ships were to transport the Arakan mutants down to Earth.
Well, technically the ships weren't actually ships. They were the ones that made the mech suit. But then they do have the plan of bringing actual mutants from Morocco. Yes.
So, like, Orchis is like, yeah, we're going to win this. And they look up and it's just, like, raining Arakan blood mutants. It's like, and they're like, oh, God. And the Arakan mutants are just like, oh, it's Christmas. Let's do this.
Yeah. And then we have all of our mutants from the White Hot Room, our fighting ready mutants. So we have
they show up, and it's a bloodbath now. I mean, it's an overwhelming ocean of mutants versus the rest of Orchis. Like, Storm's there, like, everybody's there. Everybody they're either there on that fight, they are in the White Hot Room, or you're Magneto, who's hanging out with Tony on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
They're all here.
And then, so, like, yeah, lots of fighting still, but then we're going to go back to Jean, and Jean's like, well, I need to take down Enigma. But then she realizes the only way for me to take down Enigma is I need to find him. And the way for me to find him is I need to find Moira. The thing is that Moira has still been, out for herself the entire time. We've seen her as the crazy cackling villain. This entire, insane thing has been one with the wanting to win all the time. And you have this moment too where you're still dealing with crazy Xavier, who's doing whatever Orchis wants him to do at this point, but also being like, I still need to reach Moira. And you get to this point where Moira finally sits down to talk with Xavier, and Xavier's like, yeah, I've really wanted to kill you multiple times and everything, but, like, we need to talk about all this and, deal with why we're at this point. And she's like, I guess I can waste a couple seconds on you. Like, I guess I have time.
It's like, you're already dead, so fine, I guess.
Yeah. And so, like, you have them trying to talk, I don't know, they just try to talk it out, their flaws and whatnot, and he tries to appeal to her senses one more time about, we need you to, like, do this, like, I made a lot of mistakes in life, like, Moira, I'm at fault for why you are the way you are, kind of thing. And she's like, yeah, I guess, but I don't really want to change, like, I'm still on the winning team, like, sucks to be you, Charles.
Yeah, like, why would I give up when we're about to win? Like, dude. Yeah. Like, yeah, this is kind of all your fault, and you made me this way throughout 10 lives of me having to deal with you. But, like, I'm not changing now. Like, you're done. You're over it.
Yeah. But then, at the last second, she has a change of heart for reasons that are not fully explained. Yeah. Sure. I guess we have to make her redeem herself at the end. So then she goes...
It's because... Well, like, because...
Oh, I guess the revealing about what...
They find her in the past.
Yeah. As a child.
Uh-huh. Like, Xavier does find little baby Moira before she was supposed to turn, and, like, literally had a gun to her face.
But then our X-Men, they're the ones who stop
Yeah, they talk him down, but Moira's there, and she witnesses all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And she sees the change of heart, and she kind of understands. And Charles is like, well, I'll just wipe her memory. Like, we're not going to let her remember this. Are you kidding me? And Moira's kind of like, but blah, 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 as a 10-year-old. And Charles is just like, oh, God, you're right. I've been wrong this whole time. And doesn't he, like...
He does erase her memory.
He, like, creates a world for her. Something like... Who does that? Somebody does something for
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay,
That's
great.
Jean. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
it's Jean.
No,
okay.
Yeah. But either way, it doesn't... I don't think it fully explains why she has a change of heart, because Xavier even eventually shows, like, our Moira, our major, like, robot Moira in our current timeline. Like, oh yeah, I did try to kill you in the past. Like, oopsie. And she's like, no, why should I listen to you? Why should I care? Like, I'm still winning. But something happens where I guess it clicks in her mind that, like, yeah, Enigma's also been playing her the whole time. Like, Enigma, why would Enigma ever hold up?
Oh, he's like, well, he promised you, like, blankety blankety blank.
Yeah.
But, like, there is no way he can, like, uphold that bargain because of XYZ. And she's like, oh.
Yeah.
So
like,
he was
I
playing
guess.
me, and he's just like, it's sinister.
Like,
Yeah, and she's just like, oh.
so
Well, let's be vindictive to him. And Charles was like, yeah.
Like, thanks. Okay. So then Moira's like, okay, fine. Yeah, we're going to turn on him. Hey, Jean, I'm right here. I'm ready
she's
to
like,
give
you
up
got
myself.
like 10 seconds before I walk away. Like, come do what you got to do.
And so Jean's like, thanks. And then so she uses Moira's connection into Enigma to find Enigma and is like, peace out forever.
Well, it's kind of funny because she was trying to find Enigma this whole time.
Yeah.
But because they're both these like huge like presences within reality, he's being stupid again, instead of like leaving the multiverse where she cannot follow him ever, he's popping through timelines and popping through realities and yada yada yada, and so she can follow him doing that. But then when Moira kind of gives up the ghost about it, she can really
really
get
find
there
it,
like before he gets there kind of thing. And then you get what a scene.
Yeah.
Like, the Phoenix shows up and Enigma's like, oh, crap, like, I can't, like, leave, so I'll just fight you, I guess. Like, I'm not scared of you. Well, but
it
Jean,
doesn't last long for,
Yeah, Jean reaches out to, like, all of humanity.
Yes.
Like, not just all of humanity, but all of mutantdom.
Of the mutants, yeah.
Throughout,
mutants that have
throughout the multiverse.
ever existed, and yeah.
And basically she's just this big, giant, fiery Jean in space with like the souls basically of every single mutant ever inside of her, which you get to like see them like within her, you know?
Yeah.
Enigma's just like, you think you scare me, Fire Woman, and goes to punch her, and she's all like, dodge, you're stupid, and she goes to punch him, and the second she goes to punch him, she actually gets like these huge freaking Wolverine claws and stabs through him. And it's really funny because like all the mutants inside of her are like mimicking her poses. It's like, I'm sure it's a reference. It's so funny, like how they use this. But yeah, she kills Enigma. She kills him.
And then it's like, yay, we're done with Enigma. But all the other Dominions did like kind of pop up nearby Enigma because, you know, Enigma had reached out to like, hey, the Phoenix. But then they're kind of like, Enigma was kind of like a loser compared to us.
Like we told him not to
bother
do
with
that.
the Phoenix. Like, I think the Phoenix deserves to live. Let's all go.
Yeah. They're like,
Phoenix,
you good over there? And she's like, I'm good over here. You good over there?
Yeah.
We're good over here. And they're like, okay, outie. See y'all.
Yeah. So that ends that. But after this whole fight, I think it's technically revealed that Jean/Phoenix took Moira out of our main timeline.
Yes.
And moved her to her own little private space, also without her mutant ability.
Yeah,
so it's like a little pocket dimension, I think.
Yeah,
because if you look at like a weird chart, there's like a chart of like space and time. And there's like a little like Phoenix symbol, like thing. So
yeah, Jean created a brand new timeline where Moira never got mutant powers, and she gets to live a normal life with her parents and then her family later on, and she dies peacefully. It's like her very, very first life where she was just happy. And then in her second life, she woke up and was like, oh no. She gets to just be happy and
finally just live a life.
Yeah. And not have to worry about such nonsense. So Moira got a happy ending or whatever,
I guess. And also, yay, our timeline didn't reset. So thanks, Phoenix, I guess, for that as well.
Yeah, because the other option was to like erase the Krakoan timeline completely.
See, I was so afraid that was going to happen, and I was going to be so ticked off, and I think, obviously, a ton of readers would be, because that means everything, like, this years-long story was pointless.
Yes.
Like, that would just be ridiculous. But luckily, that did not happen, because Moira magically got ripped out of the timeline, gently, I guess, and so therefore, everything's still intact.
So no Moira, no Enigma. All of these things happened, but they don't matter anymore because they didn't happen. It's really weird. But
it like still did happen, I think.
It did, yeah.
Because we still have Orchis, and at this point, Orchis is destroyed, except for one person, Charles.
Yes, and they go to him, and he's kind of like, what a ride, y'all. And they're like, no, Charles.
We don't know you. Like, what did you do?
Yeah, he's kind of like, yeah, I was afraid you were gonna, like,
react
that way. So he's basically just like, okay, take me in.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. If you can't forgive me, then I can't forgive myself, and I have no place in this post-Krakoan world. Like, I had Magneto, I had Apocalypse both telling me, like, to freaking chill out and to stay out of people's business, and I couldn't do it, and I'm the reason that all of this stuff kept happening. So therefore, like, he puts his wrist up, and he's like, take me.
Yep.
You know, and I hope that you all can live a life of peace and love and find your own dreams and stop chasing mine.
And they're like, yeah, we will.
Like, you're done.
They're like, we will. Yeah.
You're done.
Goodbye, Charles, we don't want to deal with you.
There really isn't a lot of tears in this situation. They're all just like, who are you? What?
Yeah. Which is totally fair, because you're just like, what has he been thinking this whole time? Like, he did a lot of crazy things. Was his plan actually with the Phoenix? I don't know if we'll ever know. He thinks his plan was all correct, so whatever. But yes, our regular old humans take Charles into custody.
Yep.
With, like, the help of kind of, like, the Avengers and whatnot for a cell for him. For now. For the moment.
For the moment.
Yeah. But it's freaking Charles.
Yeah, he will return later, yeah. But in Krakoa, he will not. So you kind of wrap up that the AI is all kind of done. Like, everything is kind of, like, the war has been settled. It's kind of done. But now the question is, what do we do now? Well, the White Hot Room mutants, they appear. A group of them appear. Like the Five and some other people. They all come, and everybody's like, oh my god, like, you found a way out of the White Hot Room. That means, like, we can bring Krakoa back. We can get back on track to where we were. And the White Hot Room mutants are like, we're not coming back. Yeah. We're not bringing Krakoa back. In fact, Krakoa doesn't want to come back. Krakoa is with us, and he likes it there. So because time doesn't move the same in the White Hot Room. So they've actually been in the White Hot Room for, like,
15 years at
something
least,
like that. Like, yeah, so all of these things have happened. They bring tons of good news. They say that we are well on our way to reviving every single mutant who's ever been killed, essentially. Like, we're not bringing them here, but we have them.
Yeah, because they said, I think, it had been 15 years, because that's at the time it took to bring, I think it was the 15 million of Genosha back.
Yes.
And then some. And you're like, wow, like, I mean, it's true, because if Krakoa on Earth had taken that time, like, that was their goal, to keep bringing back as many mutants as possible. But, you know, life got in the way. But they've had their special bubble of protectiveness, and they've had all that time to do that. And the other thing, too, is interesting, because we have, like, our little spokesperson for this Krakoa in the White Hot Room.
Yeah.
I think his name's, like, Kafka. Yeah. And my favorite part is, like, we have a quiet council, but, you know, we're quiet because we listen. That's how we run this.
They basically took
together.
The Krakoan culture and they perfected it.
Because it's for everyone.
Because it's for everyone.
The elite.
Yeah. So they survive. They grow crops. They have everything that they could ever need to have a society. And they don't need Earth for any of that. So basically they're like, we opened up this portal for like 24 hours because that's about all we can manage right now. All the mutants that we've had, we said, if you want to come back and visit your families, if you want to come back and stay, like, you have 24 hours to, like, do what, to close accounts, you know? Do what you want to do. And if anybody wants to come back, you can. But, like, we won't be back for a long time. So there's a lot of goodbyes. There's a lot of, like, the 5, well, the 4 minus Hope. Yeah. They're like, no, we're going to stay in Krakoa because this is the place for us.
That's our job. We need to, we have more to help, and this is the society we've been wanting.
So,
but then you also have, everything seems like, you know, it's kind of like this bittersweet thing. And then here comes Apocalypse going, my place is with you guys. And they're like, bro, what? No, what? We don't need you. And he's like, yeah, you do. I'm the OG. Like, I'm the founder of everything. Like, I deserve to rule. You need a ruler.
Krakoa was founded under, like, my philosophies. So, of course, you need Apocalypse. And they're all like, dog, no. We perfected your prophecy. Like, we did this on our own.
So then, like, he kind of fights a lot of people. And they're just like,
there's a little, there is a little fight. It's actually kind of gruesome. Like, everybody jumps Apocalypse real fast. And, like, somebody, like, gouges his eyes out. Like, it's a whole freaking mess.
And you really think Apocalypse really could beat them all too. Like, it's not like
he's like obliterating people and stuff. And they're like, dude, just understand. He kind of stops. He's like, you passed the test.
Yeah. He's like, it's fine.
And they're like, damn it, leave us alone. And he's like, I will.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So he goes back to Araco and is like, I think I need an heir. Dun dun dun. He's like, I have something else to do. So we'll see whatever that is eventually. But so yeah, we have our Krakoa, our mutants from the White Hot Room there for that short period of time. We have our remaining mutants on Earth watching the dream go away, which it's kind of like weird to say. It's bittersweet because like they weren't a part of the dream, but their dream is still alive. Like it's not gone. Like Krakoa and what they wanted does exist. They just chose to keep the fight on Earth, which
they did.
Tracks with our X-Men.
So yeah, like they're just kind of like sailing away on a big ship, watching Krakoa disappear into the ocean, and it's just like, oh, this is really sad. And like the art was so beautiful. Everybody's crying. Emma, poor Emma.
Yeah, but like she knows that it exists, and it's this interesting bittersweet moment too, because I think of like, there is finally a safe place. There is a place that will always be for mutants. But I'm also concerned for their safety because, like, they aren't trained to protect their place. So they're just assuming that where they are, it's not going to be destroyed.
Well, I mean, it is the White Hot Room, so...
But there's things lurking around the White Hot Room. It's not like the Phoenix doesn't have enemies or anything, so...
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, so... But hopefully, they will be fine for now. But that's where we leave them.
And it's noted that the vast majority of mutants are on Krakoa. They stay. They stay in the White Hot Room, and you basically only have, like, all of your kind of, like, main characters. They stay on Earth.
Yes.
As the aftermath kind of hits, and they're all like, what do we do? Like, what are you doing? Where are you going? And there's not a whole lot of answers,
No, we just kind of see a couple mutants here and there just kind of doing their own thing with their own plans, whether it's like Logan being off on his own with the wolves, or whether it's Kate trying to live a normal life for the moment.
In Chicago.
Isn't she like a bartender? Yeah.
She's bartending in Chicago.
Yeah. Trying to take a break from all the fight, and we see a couple mutants here and there potentially gonna start some teams up or whatever, doing what our X-Men have always done.
Fighting the fight and keeping alive.
Yes. And then we see a little bit more of Charles.
Yes.
And because, we don't know, I just don't know. He can never fully explain him, fully understand. He is so full of himself in his mind right now. I think he basically views himself as a god, even though he's flawed, he messed up and stuff. And the prison that they kept for him, he's like, ha ha ha, I planned for this all along, and I made them forget some loopholes in here, and I can still reach out. And you see him, like, in this big room, like, they think that, like, he's shielded off in the rest of the world. No, he can still kind of peer into what's going on in the world, and he sees some, like, mutants getting attacked.
He's in a cell, if you've seen, like, the X-Men movie, the first one, he's in a cell very much like how Magneto was in that cell, but there's, like, a crack in the wall, like in the seam of the wall, where his powers can still kind of wriggle out, where he can just kind of, like, keep an eye on mutantdom.
Yeah. But he doesn't do... Yeah.
Yeah, he can't really do anything. He can just kind of watch.
Oh, no, he does kill people. Because at one point he saves a mutant. And he's like, and you think, he's gonna, just leave the human alone. No, he makes the human kill himself off.
He does.
Jump off a building. And you're like, okay.
Yep.
And then he, like, pretends to kill himself. Like, Xavier himself, like, kind of, like, powers himself down in, like, a coma, and so everybody freaks out and they move him to a different location, but you're like, why'd you move him? And then he, like, I think his eyes open or something, like, as they're transporting him.
He's all like, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, you're like, cool, thanks, you didn't have to fall for that. So that's we have one other thing to wrap up too, because we still have Mother Righteous still a little bit around, and she's also, like, in a cell. And we see what looks like Dr. Stasis coming to rescue her. And he's like, my love, will you leave with me? Will we fight together? Plans, like, I have plans. And she's like, of course, my husband, blah, blah, blah. And then Stasis is like, psych, die. And she's like, why? And it's not Stasis, it's Mystique. And she's like, that's what you get for making me kill my wife. Now you get to die.
That's true, yeah. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, she pulls a fast on Mother Righteous, and Mother Righteous is just like, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Uh-huh.
Oh, and one more.
Yes.
Tony and Emma.
Yes.
So, which I love. I loved this issue so much, but basically, like, Tony's final issue...
This whole series was pretty great.
I know, it really was. So, like, after the war, everything's kind of settled. Tony and Emma, the question was like, well, what do we do after? And, like, Emma invites Tony out to lunch, and Tony gets there, and she's sitting there, and they're kind of talking, just kind of whatever, but then he kind of realizes... He gets this letter. This waiter brings him a letter from Emma, and at this moment he realizes Emma's not actually there. It was a projection from his mind. And so he starts reading this letter from Emma, and it's so bittersweet, where she talks about, like, you know, we talked about before about what happens to us after we're done, and Tony, I couldn't help but not answer, because where we were when we had those conversations, in my heart, I did not think I would be here to make that decision. I thought I would be gone. And now that I'm actually here, I'm still not sure what to do, because all of this stuff has happened and my babies have kind of scattered to the wind, and I did not think I was going to be alive. And so I think that I just need to take time to kind of, like, reestablish myself and where life needs to head. And she's kind of talking to him telepathically through this letter. And you see her, she's already, like, gone. She's already left. And all of these really sweet things. And Tony, blessed Tony, like, had, like, a wedding ring that he was ready to give her, like, at this lunch.
Yeah.
He's all like, he tries to play it off real cool, like, you know, I was kind of thinking the same, and he's, like, grasping this wedding ring, and she knows, she's in his brain, she knows. And she's, like, sitting on a bench in a park with her big old sunglasses, and she's crying. She's crying, and he's crying, but they're telling each other, like, the things that the other needs to hear. It was so, just the ending, it was so good and so sweet and so special for both of them, but also so sad. Because they really were working so well together.
Yes.
But they were living in a world where they thought they were going to be dead within 24 hours constantly. But Emma did leave Tony a gift.
They both left each other.
Each other a gift.
Yes.
Emma's gift for Tony was basically, she used her powers to control the Hellfire Club. She controlled all of their accountants basically to, like,
she, like, siphoned off a bunch of their money.
She drained all of the bank accounts, and they all wrote checks to Tony worth every cent that they had within the organization, and then shut the accounts down and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And Wilson Fisk is like, who do you think you are? And so Tony is rich beyond belief again, but Emma has money too. Like, Emma will always have money. But
she knew that's what he needed to help move on.
Yes, because Tony has a plan. You know, he's gonna.
Well, Rhodey has a plan for him.
Rhodey has a plan for Tony, and Tony's like, yeah, dog. They're moving to the West Coast to restart the West Coast Avengers, kind of as like
with villains.
Yeah, they're gonna like rehab villains into becoming Avengers, and that book is really good so far. It just started. It's on issue 4 or 5. It's really good.
Oh, nice.
What was Tony's gift to Emma?
So after Tony had gathered Mysterium from, like, Krakoa and whatnot, he came across this photo album that, like, was addressed to Mom, and it was from the Cuckoos. Well, he left that with Doctor Strange, and so he tells Emma, you need to go pick up something from Doctor Strange, and it's that, like, photo album or memory album, and it touched her heart.
Oh my god, she was gushing. She was like, Anthony, how could you do this? Like, why would? And he's like, it's what you need to restart. It's a photo album of all her little babies.
Admit your love and care. Yeah.
Oh my god,
it's what you need.
The tears. I was a mess. I was freaking mess.
Which, because, I remember when he had, like, saved that a while back, and I was curious when that was going to come around, but then I was like, no, it was this, like, bittersweet parting gift for both of them to get something they needed to help them move on.
When he went there to go take the Mysterium out of Krakoa, he asked her, like, I'm going to be there. Do you want me to find anything? And she was like, Anthony, there's nothing there that could possibly be good for me right now. Burn it all down. I can't even think about it. But he saw that photo album, and he was like, there's no way, and he took it.
Yeah. And he was right.
He was right.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, like, I know they're not going to touch that relationship ever again, probably. And it makes me so sad because, God, was it so good.
Yeah, I agree. It was really good. It was somebody who could, like, match Emma in a way, like, that they worked. Like, we've seen her come and go through relationships, and we've seen her be her powerful single self, but to work well with somebody else, like, that's just great to see. And it was one too when I first, like, saw it happening. I was like, no, and then I was like, oh, I love it.
Because so many people were like, those two, like, there's no way it's going to end so terribly, or this is just the writers being stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they knew what they were doing, and God, oh.
Yeah. Well, talk about a couple getting back together too, though. We do see Jean and Scott come together, and our powerful duo is actually back together, and they are truly in love. And so I guess we get a yay happy ending for them for now. Ish. Until
the next series starts. But yes, no, they are together, they are happy. But they don't get to stay together. Like, physically, they don't get to stay together. They have jobs to do, so.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what they always know about each other.
And they love each other for that, so.
Yeah.
So that's the end. That's the end of Krakoa.
It's been a wild ride. Like, I don't regret reading this at all, and I'm glad it didn't end with, like, JK, none of this ever existed. Because
that was such a fear that people online talked about those last few weeks. It was like, please don't do this. Please don't do this to us.
Like, it took some crazy turns and everything, but I feel like I can live with that instead of a whole restart. It is, I mean, in a sense, it kind of is a restart because we're back to where we were with the mutants, but that doesn't mean everything that we've discussed.
They still remember, and it all still mattered very much. So
yeah, it was such a unique run too. It was really great to see characters in a new light, some that we hadn't seen so much of before, so much more development and characters becoming their own, like. A wild ride. Definitely there were some low points for sure, but there were plenty of highs and, you know, some storylines that were way better than others, but...
Exterminators forever.
God.
Nobody could ever make me hate you.
And I'm happy for you.
Yes, thank you. That's all I need.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that, I think, covers it. Any other final notes on Krakoa?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I think it'll be a bit before we do any more, like, before we do episodes on, like, the current X-Men situation.
Yes.
But, you know, folks, there's a lot of good stuff happening in X-Men comics right now. There's a lot of interesting stuff in X-Men comics right now. Like I said at the beginning, there's 3 books that are already getting canceled, and they're not bad. X-Force was one of the very first books after Krakoa. Forge and Sage, they create a new team. It's got Betsy and Rachel, where they're just kind of saving the world. It's very X-Force behavior. It's good, though. And then NYX is another one that's about to get canceled, which follows the story of Kamala and Laura Wolverine. And that one is a lot of fallout from Krakoa. Like, the enemy that they're fighting is Captain Krakoa. I won't go into further specifics on that one. But it's got the Cuckoos in it, and it's good. And then the final one that's about to end is X Factor, where X Factor is a book of a team that's led by Alex Summers. And basically, it's like a U.S. sanctioned team. Like, they work for the government. But they're also, like, reality TV stars where they have, like, TikTok, and they, like, we're going on these missions and doing these things, which, like, the government gives them. They give them the missions, which they're not good missions. They're actually nearly suicidal all the time. But the teams, multiple, because they die a lot, are very interesting. There's a lot of cool people in it. Angel comes back. He acts as, like, a temporary team lead for a bit. Polaris is there as kind of like a mutant rebellion group. It's very interesting. But you have the regular X-Men that's led by Scott. Beast is back. All sorts.
Yeah.
The good one, yes.
Yeah.
That's a great book. There's a lot of fun stuff. That team it's Scott and it's Magic and Juggernaut. And those two, oh my god. Psylocke is there. It's a lot of cool people. The banter is amazing. Like, oh my god. Magic and Juggernaut make everything a competition. And
of course.
And if they're not actually on mission, if they're like flying to the mission, they're playing cards. They're doing something because somebody has to win all the time. They're so funny together. But Juggernaut is like, so he's a real X-Men now, and he is so happy to be there. Like, bless his heart. He's got so many fun things going on. There's also some solo books. Jean has her own Phoenix books where she takes off into the stars. She's like, I'm going to be this entire universe's superhero because I can. I have the power to be, and I will do that. So there's that. We eventually got a Storm book, which is absolutely beautiful. Oh my gosh. The art and the story in it, there's only like 5 issues out right now, but it is so good. Magic and Psylocke even, they have their own books. Great. I'm sure Wolverine's got one, but I don't read Wolverine, so I hear it's fine. No. I don't know. I read him in Uncanny X-Men. Oh, Uncanny X-Men. Oh my gosh. Rogue, Gambit, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, some OGs, kind of like living out in the middle of nowhere, like in a log cabin. They find their own group of kids, but it's weird because they're like, we're mutants. It's really weird. They have some bizarre powers. There's also Exceptional X-Men, which is the Katie Pride Emma book, where Katie's like, I just want to live a normal life. I'm sick of superheroes. I'm sick of powers. Like, I want to bartend and maybe get a girlfriend. Been thinking about that for a while. That might be fun. And then, because the universe works this way, a bunch of kids find her and they're like, oh god, we just found out we're mutants, help. And she's like, no. And Emma's like, yes, Kate. Yes! And so they're kind of like double momming this little group of kids. But it's fun. And then Bobby Drake just showed up.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. It's a fun time.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a lot going on for the future of our mutants. So yeah. Listeners, let us know what you want to cover next with X-Men. Like Wade said, yeah, we will probably take a little bit of break. It's been a lot of comics, a lot jam-packed. I know there was lots of episodes that we did over our couple years span of time, but this was also like, I think nearly a 5-year comic experience.
Yeah, I mean, it ended earlier in like June. Krakoa did, but it's been going since like 2019. Going strong since 2019.
But yeah, I think we'll leave it at that, listeners. We hope you have enjoyed our entire run of the Krakoan Age. And I don't know why at this point, if you haven't listened to our other X-Men episodes, but just plugging that in again, if you haven't, go back and start from the beginning or catch up on what you've missed. Be sure you follow or subscribe wherever you listen to our podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes. And yeah, follow us on social media, leave us a review. Let us know how much you've enjoyed us talking about X-Men. That would be great. But yeah, thanks again for listening to this week's episode, and we hope you tune in to our next one.
See ya.